This video may actually ruffle some feathers, but for some people, it will actually liberate you. And I'm here for the people that want to be liberated. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about leadership here in terms of if you are a leader who's a bit exhausted, maybe frustrated with the lack of results you've achieved, and just really just lacking some oomph that you may have had, you know you're capable of more, you're just not able to achieve it. The way we've been taught leadership in the corporate system is it's distorted, okay? It's not really true leadership. I'm going to explain what this looks like and why you might be exhausted and what you need to do instead. So the way leadership has been taught in the corporate system, it's really about elevating others, right? It's about guiding others, it's about cultivating people, cultivating teams, and that all sounds beautiful. And it is beautiful. But what we've had, the system that's been created, is people come into leadership positions and they see their role as just that. I need to guide others. I need to lead others. I need to do all these things, right? And so they do that. But what happens over time is you are giving when you don't actually have capacity to give. So yes, you're building others. Yes, you're inspiring them. You're helping them see their brilliance. You're help elevating them, but you're doing it at your expense. And it's because you don't have capacity for it. This is what the system taught you. Now, I don't mean capacity in terms of time in the day, time in your calendar, or energy. That's not at all what I mean. What I actually mean is the true first step of any true leader is actually to lead themselves first. And so, what does this mean? What does this sound like? Because you might say to yourself, well, actually, Andrea, I already am leading myself. And you know what? To a certain degree, you are, okay? But not true, full leading yourself. Because what the corporate system does is it teaches you to lead within a certain system, to lead within all these rules. When you lead yourself completely, what you do is you are able to stand in your truth. You are able to speak up for yourself. You are able to speak up for what is right and what is true and what is honest and what's in integrity when it's the hardest, when the pressure is the highest. That's when leaders really become leaders. It's not in the good times. It's not guiding others. That's reasonably easy to do. If you're watching this right now, I know you're talented. I know you're motivated. I know you are a high achiever. I know all those things. You guiding others, you can do that with your hands tied behind your back because you are amazing. I get that. That's actually, easy for you. What is the more difficult is if you can hold your truth. And when you can hold your truth, when nobody else around you is. And the key to this is if you can hold your truth, speak your truth, and stay centered and stay grounded and do not collapse. And what I mean by that is you're all brave and great at work, but you get home and you spiral and you lay awake at night and, oh my God, I said something. Am I going to be fired? All these kinds of things. True leadership is cultivated when the pressure is the highest. And what we've seen in the last few years, there's been so much pressure in this world, economic, with, obviously the pandemic, there's so much pressure. And what we're seeing is so much leadership collapsing because it was never created in the corporate system to actually stand under pressure. Leadership that leadership development that's been taught in the corporate system up till now is really more mentorship and coaching with authority, meaning you're somebody who has a position of authority and you mentor and you coach people, but it's not actually true leadership. And because of that, what you're doing is you are depleting yourself at the expense of others. So what needs to happen first is you need to reclaim your power. So you can speak your truth. You can speak in your truth and authenticity. You can stay in integrity, even if the person above you may or may not support you. See, somebody who's a true leader, and I'm not talking about entry-level leadership here, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking mid to senior leader here, mid to senior level. When you are at that level, you should not need the person above you to know that they have your back. To be a leader at that mid to senior level, the key is you need to have your own back. Now, I'm not saying you don't deserve to have the support of the person above you. Absolutely. Whether that's another senior leader or it's the board of directors, I don't know. It doesn't matter what it is. Absolutely. But your ability to speak out and be and say who you really are is not dependent on that person above you supporting you. That is actually true leadership. Because what happens when you do that is you become so steady and strong in who you are that you naturally lead others without even trying, without lifting a finger. So it takes no extra energy. Because right now, what you're doing is you're using all your energy to help pull people up. It doesn't work, it's exhausting. Where you want to focus your energy right now is reclaiming your power. You become more effective. You elevate yourself too in your own career. And then by doing that, you naturally lead others because you become the lighthouse. You become the person that people look to. This is how it's actually done, not the way you were taught. When I was in corporate, I've shared this instance a few times because it was such a critical moment for me. Because I learned all this while being in corporate, right? I used to be a CPA. I was in these meetings for a period of time. It was this huge team that was assembled. And there was this one woman who was leading the meeting. She used to say this phrase on the calls, or she started to say it. She was not a very evolved person. She was actually quite toxic. I'm going to call it what she was. She liked to belittle people. And she'd come on these calls and she'd tell people they were on the naughty list if they didn't follow through exactly what she wanted. And this is a call of like 25 to 30 people, Teams calls, all on camera. I mean, this was insane. I was sitting here going like, am I actually seeing this? Am I actually witnessing this? And so the first couple times I was in shock. I thought one time she just made a mistake. She's not going to do it again, right? And it was either the second, third call time when she did this. I just ended the call. I just got off the call. I just like clicked. I didn't say I was leaving. I was just like, I'm not going to sit here and tolerate this. And so I just clicked end. And I knew what I was doing was a risk. But it was one of those defining moments where I really began to really embody the leadership role that I am in now. It was a critical step. And I didn't know if my boss would support me or not. I didn't know if I'd be fired. I had no idea. And keep in mind that this entire time I was a single parent with 100% custody and a mortgage. So it's not like I had a bunch of support. Well, if I'm fired, I'm going to be okay. There wasn't a bunch of big support system behind me. But I also understood the risk of me staying on that call. And here's the thing, we don't see the risk of staying and tolerating these things. And I'm not saying it has to be this bad, but there is a risk of not being a leader if you want to elevate yourself in your career. And if you want to actually mentor and support people in the way that you want to. And so what I actually did, I had no idea if my boss would support me. And so I messaged him, I sent him an email and I said, just by the way, I've started leaving meetings now. I'll just hang up the call. I thought he needs a heads up. I knew it would come back to him. I knew somewhere along the way, somebody would notice and I would be called out, right? And it was actually like, we went all the way to the top that Andrea was doing this. And they spoke to him and he defended me, which was great. I mean, I was lucky. It was great, but I didn't need it. I didn't need him to do that. And ironically, that was probably one of the reasons why he did support me so much, because he saw my leadership. I mean, he was very supportive in that way. It takes guts and courage to do that. And I'm not tooting my own horn, but at some point we have to see what is real leadership, and it's not what we were taught. And the reason why I say it takes guts and courage is because there aren't many people who are doing this, because corporate didn't teach you to do this. Corporate taught you to sacrifice yourself in order to hold up the system and to hold up the people in it. That's what it taught you. It didn't teach you to hold up yourself. And this is what I do with my clients, is I actually help them fortify themselves, fortify their capacity to hold themselves up. So it doesn't matter what happens around them. They are strong and steady and they don't collapse. All right, beautiful soul. I hope this was super helpful and I'll talk to you soon.